So who have you guys had up to now, if you don't mind me asking?
We've had lots of people. I mean, both of our backgrounds.
Like what do you guys
obviously
after in terms of a big picture? If you
big picture, it's having guests that can. Well, I mean, our mission with this is actually to make a positive difference in people's lives. So it started as a young professionals group where we sat down and had these types of discussions. And actually, I let that evolve naturally. It was through a website called meetup.com. And it was interesting. It was actually one of the people from the core group that had the idea to start the podcast. It was maybe something that I had considered previous, but I thought I would just let it happen and develop naturally.
You have no idea how much I've had this dream too. That's pretty cool.
And then from there, we just we hit that spot where it was like, let's do this. And I knew Jayse was interested not only in podcasting, but that we'd had long range conversations just about life and about anything in the universe. Oh, yeah. So it was just natural. And I knew he had the dream of directing one day too. So I figured the audio and video side would be something that he would have the knowledge to help with as well. Because I would have been going in with absolutely no experience and or no knowledge previous.
You got the knowledge.
Yeah.
You got the idea.
And then it's basically, it's evolved naturally. It's evolved naturally into having guests. At first, we didn't have guests. It was more so getting comfortable with the microphone and being able to talk. And we initially set about...
Was it a tough learning curve, like you're saying? Or is that what you mean?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, everything was a learning curve. I know Jayse talked about the first time setting up, it took about, I think, an hour.
Oh, I almost think an hour and a half. Yeah.
So just this setup?
Yeah, just figuring out how the mics all work.
What is a podcast? Can you kind of give me? I'm so curious. I've never seen a podcast setup before. I've never been on one. I've never.
Honestly, we made it up as we go. But I know one of the things that I was really interested in was having video, just because we've turned into like a YouTube kind of, I don't know, society.
Yeah,
so everything.
I was gonna say, do you guys have a channel on YouTube?
Yeah. Yep. So I have a channel like Be the Change YPS. Is it on YouTube?
YouTube. It's bit.ly.
Oh, you guys should film your kind of like how Joe Rogan does it.
Well, that's the dream.
One day with the multiple cameras and
multiple HD cams with 1080p or whatever better you can get. Like 4K video.
Joe Rogan has like a dedicated space for it though, with super professional equipment. One day.
But obviously you have to start somewhere. He's at over 1,000 or 1,100 podcasts now, and he started that.
Yeah. Oh man, and he's one of the top. Yeah.
And he started the MMA podcast.
I'm sure
that's
popular.
But yeah, he's the podfather.
Yeah, you think about that 1,100. Think of how many years it would take to get to 1,100.
Yeah, I mean he does multiple in a week
now, but originally he didn't.
No, how many did he do? Just one a week?
He did one. I think he did about one a week, and even then it was
like 700. So I'm not really sure on that.
What I really like about it, and so all the guests that we've had on so far have been from a diverse array of backgrounds, but we've had these conversations, and it's like you get to learn from other people's experiences, and like rarely do you get to sit down for a couple hours and just get to learn from somebody else's. Like they might be doing something completely different. But if you're aiming at the same point, like being successful at something and doing interesting things, then there's obviously a lot you can take from people's stories. So
that also gives me another question, if you don't mind. I'm full of questions.
Yeah.
So are the answers you're like wanting to get out of me? Are they more based? Like, are you wanting like
genuine?
Just be. Well, I thought I meant more in terms of content. Like, is it more of like an uplifting like a help depression people and people who suffer from mental illness, or is it more like a who's doing what in culture in Winnipeg? Who's
basically a little bit of everything.
It's just I'll just keep straight. Just like you said, just
yeah. I mean, we say that tangents are welcome. So obviously we prep some topics and things to talk about, and especially your projects and your story of how you got into acting.
Yeah. And talk true to yourself. That's all it comes
just
down
like I'm
to.
doing now.
Where you came from, what happened, and if you have any questions for us, by all means, man. Don't feel like it's a one-way conversation.
And if there's any signals, like if I'm like starting to veer off a little bit too much,
well, we love
that. We love that, though.
Give me a little, little something to.
We can always rein people in. My thing is
we get a little off topic sometimes.
We get off topic.
It happens.
It's the best part of podcasts.
Both of us try and rein each other in when we go way off into no man's land. That's why you get a partner. But that's exactly it. I think we juxtapose each other's skills very well, and we also in conversation. It's like we can keep ourselves on track by having the other one here. So it's nice to bring it full circle.
Might get extra off track today because I'm on T3s right now because of my knee. So we'll see where that happens.
Jayse just got knee surgery.
Yeah, I saw the crutches. Yeah, jeez, how'd you do that?
Well, I tore my ACL at Sky Zone a couple of years ago, and it's just been a process trying to get into surgery. So
wow.
It's a good surgery. It's just a long recovery process.
It's not like a dangerous surgery or anything.
No. It took all of an hour. I was awake for the entire thing.
It's not too bad.
I got to see the whole thing on the screen there and what they were doing.
I don't know if I would want to see the same thing.
You know, I thought I'd like throw up or something or like get nauseous
Did you get
watching
medically curious?
I'm just like, it's just like they were like stabbing me and everything, and like I didn't care. Like you're just so drugged up and kind of out of it that you're just like, oh, you're just so comfortable. What's happening?
I'm
an ex-skater. I've never had surgery, but I've had my fair share of trips to the doctor, like serious trips to the doctor. Oh yeah. But you guys, any more tips? Any more before you start? I'm pretty warmed up.
You're pretty warmed up. That's good because we've already recorded.
I don't, yeah. What's that?
No, we always like to start recording kind of while we're just talking naturally. So we're already going.
Yeah.
All right.
Nice easy segue into the actual podcast, right?
I love that. Sweet.
So I guess I'll do a little bit of an intro and then I'll hand it over to you. But we're here with Colin Dufault.
Hello.
With the English folks, it's Colin Dufault. He is an actor, writer, comedian. He is in theater, is a songwriter, musician, and screenwriter as well. Would that be all the hats that you wear?
I would say big dreamer would be a big one out of all of those two. Obviously, some people label themselves as one thing, but like honestly, when you try, I'm a toe dipper, so to speak. The pool of acting, the pool of music, you got to dip your toe in all of them as a creative. I feel like if you're not dipping toes, you're not being creative. I don't know.
No, I can definitely attest to that. Is just trying a bunch of different things, and you never want to feel stagnant. You never want to stay in one place too long because you really want to challenge yourself to grow in all those different venues and different realms. So maybe as a way to intro it off, how would your closest friends describe you and what you do?
The close ones definitely are more critical of my work. They're very, they're the ones where when I want a true opinion, I'll ask them. But supportive, although blunt and fairly, and honestly, that's better than having yes people around you all the time. Because having those close ties early on when you start out as an actor or a musician or something like that, you want somebody to keep you sane, essentially. Somebody to give you good feedback so that that mistake can be corrected next time and make it so much better. Let's say you do a film and you see this mistake reoccurring every time, but let's say you have everybody around you that's saying, you're awesome, you're awesome, you're awesome. We see this all the time, again and again. But if you have critical people around you, and you're gonna have to let your skin be pierced, let that
I think in theater you have to have that happen, right?
Yes, absolutely, yes. And just be humble and just accept that you're not perfect and that the next one can be better, I guess, is the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah. And how would they describe you as a person?
But as a person, very eccentric, I'd say. I think. Okay, well, in their words, I think they would say very flamboyant. I'll be the guy that usually ends up doing impressions at the end of a long night. I'm usually somehow finding myself on stage on karaoke nights. Just some people are a sad drunk, sad partier, a happy partier. I'm a very flamboyantly loud and maybe obnoxious person. And that's, I think, honestly, how they would probably describe me. But as a creative that they do respect and that I do like a lot, as, for self-esteem issues and stuff like that. Because you'll see that a lot in the performing arts, that kind of stuff, yeah.
Well, is it nice then to have acting? Is it kind of that escape from just the day-to-day? You get to play someone else and you get to just be in a different mindset. Is that part of the draw for you?
Yes, absolutely. But it really, the real answer is it depends. Because if you're being put in let me give you an example of a role. Like the last project I just wrapped was a play actually by the Cercle Molière, if you're French, or the Circle Molière.
I'm not sure. That's how the English would say.
Yeah,
it's like, is it Des
the
Mirons or-
TCM, like that big old glassy building, that beautiful building on Provencher there. I got to do they've been around for about like 100 years. Like they're a very prestigious French theater group. And they did their very first play with depictions of gay or homosexual lifestyles of voyageurs, and during Louis Riel's day, which was always ignored in textbooks, always never talked about. And I got the privilege of playing that first homosexual role and the first intimate role I've ever done. So the first intimate role I've ever done in my life was this one right there, and it was quite a leap, to say the least.
Yeah,
to learn. I mean,
no, I bet. So, what's maybe the most interesting? I guess besides the acting, what's the most interesting event that's happened in your life lately?
Geez, that's a good question. I guess I would say just the ramping up of the. I know this is gonna be really cheesy. All right, so cheese alert, cheese alert. Okay,
Slice it up.
yeah.
The cheese
So
coming.
cheese alert. So basically, just honestly being confident for once in my work, in that I've dipped the toe dipping that I referred to earlier is the only way you'll find something that you're truly good at. Like, how else are you supposed to discover something? As a musician, I knew I was mediocre. I knew I wasn't. I was discovering myself creatively. But I've been doing acting since I was like my mom was one of those moms that just threw their kid upstage. So as far as I can remember, essentially, and it takes I lost my train of thought here.
That's
yeah.
all right. Maybe talk further about how you got into acting. And
Yeah,
how
sure.
Your
Yeah,
parents
for sure.
influenced you into it.
So basically, my dad was in a band for years and years and years, so he's got that performance blood in him. My mom, she's the big theater bug. She's did theater all her life, so she really wanted me to get into it. And honestly, I didn't need her for me to love being on stage. It was very natural.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the performing arts came very easily to me. A lot of people have troubles with auditions, with eyes on them and stuff like that. And I've always kind of had the opposite, more of a thrill, more of a kind of a shark, wanting to get that role next, beside, instead of the guy beside you, you're reading his lines, I enjoy the spirit of competition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I find I've gotten that from a lot of different places. I mean, my background is probably more so in sports, but music has always played a big role. But I even tried a theater role when I was in grade 9. Yeah,
Tell me
it was
about
actually
it.
Yeah, so I went to French immersion high school, and actually I was it was a completely French play.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, funny enough, it was essentially a play mixed between the Three Little Pigs and Little Red Riding Hood. So the wolves were cousins, and then and the Three Little Pigs and Little Red Riding Hood were friends. And it was this whole, it was an interesting take on it. It was actually one of the former students that had written the play, and then we performed it, and we actually ended up winning the top play, like the top high school play that year.
Nice.
But they had some critiques for me. So my character was actually one of the Three Little Pigs, and it was the more intelligent one. So you have the stick house, the straw house.
I don't even remember that.
And then the concrete or the
brick house.
brick house.
Yeah.
House, yeah.
So I was the one that built the brick house. I think I was called Brick in the thing too. But actually, my personality trait that I had to play was that I was actually the gay little pig. And so one of the wolves was actually a vegan, and so we ended up hitting it off and like this whole thing. But then for the rest of the year, I don't know how your experience has been, but then people judge me. I was in band and in theater, so you get judged as being the theater geek or the band geek. And I just went, isn't this a cool thing to actually be able to be on stage and perform for people? And yet you have the
high
pushback.
School's harsh. High school's
you have the
harsh.
pushback
Absolutely,
from people. So
especially through high school. As a matter of fact, I stopped doing theater for years. When I got into music, I don't want to say it was because of peer pressure, because I totally enjoyed it. You know, I would go to studios until the wee hours of the morning and work like at a 10 a.m. shift the next day. Like I was very, very dedicated. But like, it's music is. Geez, I'm losing my train of thought all over this railroad of life here.
yeah.
No, but you're saying the Three Little Pigs. How do we get to? Geez, I'm losing my train of
Let's
thought.
talk about how people were judging him for
Right.
for being in theater.
Right. So
Yeah.
okay, gotcha. So yeah. So when people want to put labels all the time, right?
True.
And I stopped. Yeah, like I said. Okay. I'm back on the railroad.
Okay.
So yeah, I essentially gave into peer pressure. I stopped for about 3 to 4 years with music, and essentially stopped with theater to get into music, to maybe at the same time do what I wanted to do, because I did like music, but also commit a bit to the peer pressure of how I would rather people see me as this, this cool, maybe rapper at the time, which is today sounds a little more ridiculous. Although I'll stand by my skill. Well, I'll still stand by that. But I didn't touch acting until I left those people. So it's really it's indicative, like it's almost like what you were saying. High school is an evil place, man.
But I think it teaches you to eventually surround yourself with like-minded people
and not to care, and not to care what people think about you.
Yeah, I know. To play a little bit of the devil's advocate here, through up until university, and I didn't go to university until I was 24. I hated theater. I bullied people who took theater in high school. I was one of those people.
Okay, all right.
And this idea of theater was back in the day, we would say, and quote unquote, like that was gay, like back when people used to use that term as a negative connotation. But I love film. So that's kind of where theater came from for me. And university, I decided to take intro to theater as a supplement to film and kind of get an acting side of it, even though film acting and theater acting couldn't be more different, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But my first year, I had this amazing professor. His name was Robert Smith, who just pushed me because I was so anxious about going into auditions and everything, and you have to audition for shows in your first year.
Yeah, and you're so clueless at the beginning of an acting career or anything.
And he pushed me, and I've never seen theater actually. So like I made fun of theater, but I've never actually seen it.
Damn, so you made like a whole flipperoo right there, eh?
Yeah, and I eventually went to MTC, watched.
What was the moment that changed your script? That flipped your script?
To see how much actual work and effort went into theater, how much heart went into theater and acting and directing and the whole. And you know what? I thought film was so much better than theater and higher form, but like I don't even think of them on the same level anymore. They're two complete different beasts. There's some things that can kind of cross over between them.
Yeah.
However, but I love how much work can go into theater, and for some people to do that
and
night
feel
after
like it's
night.
So unappreciated. Oh yeah, night after night.
Yeah.
Like talk about night after night. We're doing 9 performances.
And to put
at the
yourself
Fringe,
into that
festival.
role, depending on how you act and everything, it blows my mind. And the directing of it, and just everything behind the stage, stage managing, all of that.
All of those little people running around with a single goal in mind to put this show together is just like it's amazing to watch.
Yeah,
right?
it is. It's crazy. it's chaotic, but the way it comes together in the end is truly amazing.
There's something
and through
thrilling
that,
about that, though, isn't there?
To see that process, that's how I fell in love with theater, and I was the stage runner for the second show of the school year that year in 2014, and that's when I got to see kind of everything slowly come together, and I kind of got an interest in different parts of it, and I was like, okay, this isn't as bad as I originally
yeah.
thought it would be, and then I slowly fell
We
in love
make
with theater.
fun of what we don't know, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So-
And until we do know it, and then we're like, oh, this ain't bad. This is
For anyone that I bullied back in high school, I'm sorry.
It's funny because I think jealousy plays part of that as well.
Oh, God,
Where you saw these people that were acting, and it was maybe something you subconsciously wanted to do because you saw that as
You know what?
being part
Maybe,
of
yeah.
film, or I usually feel that people typically will bully who they want to emulate or who they're jealous of in some way or another.
Well,
because
usually-
it's that insecurity of yourself, and that's what you
exactly.
see in those other people.
And it's exactly what it was: insecurity. It was low self-esteem. I was overweight. I like, you can attest to this. I'm pretty monotone at times, and so to put myself outside of that element was, and it was scary when even at 24 years old, and when I was more comfortable with myself physically, to actually put myself in another spot where like people are judging me and criticizing me, I wasn't used to that, right? I wasn't used to people saying, I was used to like, you're beautiful the way you are, you're good the way you are, but I actually prefer when people tell me like, hey, that was good, but maybe this could make it better, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't mean in putting people down. I mean constructive criticism is like, this is how you can do it better.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, totally. No, but that's really cool to hear that the bug bit you a little later than most of us.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's cool because theater is like the bud that, if you will, that's that make people figure themselves out and go into stand up or comedy, sitcom, TV, film,
and go so many different
Broadway,
directions, yeah.
whatever, musical, singing. A lot of it starts at that level. But that's so cool that you saw that and you're like appreciative of it, and like, yeah, man, that's really cool.
One of the things that I've found is that acting and or theater and or somehow the entertaining gene is a thing, and
I believe that.
That's something that I feel that I got that for whatever reason. I had influences. I think I have both the sports influence and the entertainer, and those are the things internally that maybe they maybe battle. But I also see, I was looking at the people. I was just at the Bombers home opener and seeing the panel, like Milt Stiegel and all those guys, Jock Climby, but being like, man, I see them, and I also feel like I'm not far away from being one of them in a weird way. Like now with podcasting and being in front of people, and actually recently, just in this past year, I've gotten away from it a little bit, but I performed comedy on a stage. Really, I fell on my face. I fell on my face, and yeah, but in a good way though. I mean, you have to between memorizing material and trying to be able to perform for the stage and not necessarily having that comfort. But then that actually evolved into performing music at a local coffee shop. So it's a little bit of that gene, and I attest that to my grandfather playing in jazz bands his whole life. So singing and playing the trumpet. And
there's
even,
totally a musical gene out there somewhere to be discovered.
Well, and
or a performance gene, like
and my siblings and I all played instruments growing up, and I would say that my family has sort of that entertainment element. Like we all compete for words at the table, and or everybody has their. My dad even has his like shtick or routine, like it's dad jokes that he uses over and over again. Yes. But I mean, he can be the most charming, entertaining person in the room, and I feel like. You learn from that, and you also all of a sudden it goes like, okay, what are the things that I have or haven't done in life that I'd like to try more of or try completely anew? And so entertaining for some reason was that word that came up, and like you,
can be intimidating too, having that realization and walking into that, like metaphorical, taking that first step.
And I think the first step in basically doing anything, because you have to be. It's playing the fool, right? It's having absolutely no clue what you're stepping into. You're going to suck at something the first time you do it.
You couldn't have said it better. You have no idea what you're stepping into. It's all about adapting to your surroundings and leaving your shame and ego at the door. I tell this every time somebody asks me for audition advice. I tell them this. Leave your shame, your ego, your feeling of being embarrassed at the door. If you want to roll on the ground during this interview, fucking roll.
No, yes, go ahead.
See, we say be honest, so
Yeah,
we just allow
roll
it.
on the ground. Like, let me give you. Can I give an example of probably one of the auditions I'm most proud of, and probably one of the best acting films I've ever been a part of. It's a short film, a short musical film. It was directed. I don't want to get this wrong. By Nicole Baldwin and Miles Crossman, and those two just created "If It Ain't Got," and I'm not gonna I don't want to give too much here, but it's a musical, and it's very very swingy, and so I go to the audition for this. I made it very clear I am not a dancer. I do not one of the very few things that I don't do is I don't dance and I can't sing. And this was a full-on musical where in the audition hallway is usually when everybody sizes each other up. Yeah. There's girls in Spanx stretching, guys in their dancing uniforms practicing, and then I just walk there. I'm like, oh my god, I so don't belong here. But that feeling, you have to press that down, like I'm just like in t-shirts and jeans, like, hey, how's it going? Like a girl stretching to my right. A guy, doing whatever he's doing to my left, or you know what I mean? Yeah. And so basically, I got in there, and I'm used to getting a slide, part of a script. If you don't know what that is, dear listeners, it's a piece of paper that is essentially a part of a script that you read, that they judge if you are good for the part or not. So I go in. And I'm like, I didn't get a slide, and sometimes they give you a slide at the last second to see how good you are to read. So I thought it was maybe something like that, but it wasn't. They were like, so basically, I'm like, you guys, you guys know I don't sing or dance, right? I made that clear in the email. They're like, yeah, we know. I'm like, okay, okay. And then they're like, all right, so we're not gonna give you a slide or anything. And like my heart started going, oh, okay. But leave that shame, leave that ego at the door. And then they said, we're gonna play some music, and you're just gonna do whatever. Okay. And I said, whatever, like you mean like singing, like dancing? They're like, whatever. And I'm like, oh, whatever. Like in my head, obviously I didn't say that out loud. Yeah. I'm like, I took that as like a challenge. Like, okay, whatever. Okay. So she then I have very little skinny white guy dance moves in my repertoire. So so this is what I did. She turns the music on. I'm hoping it's something like very fast that I can just like kind of make him maybe get a laugh or something, just survive the audition. But it turned out to be this jazzy tune. I was just like doing my thing, I was on the ground, I was rolling exactly like I was describing. And then I like did this like spin thing, and unknowingly touched one of the directors, Nicole Baldwin, or like touched their table and stuff like that, and just like got really engaged with the dancing. And I just went like all in. I'm like, if I'm not gonna get that, like what's the point of not trying my best?
Right.
And because like I'm up against dancers here, and this thing is very, very talented dancers that are involved, and I didn't want to disrespect that at the same time, but I had to show them something. They laugh. I got the room. I got the room to laugh, and the rest is history because I got the part and got
awesome.
It's amazing.
Yeah, no, it's one of my favorite credits on my resume for sure.
Isn't it funny that those moments of just sheer "let's go for this" are some of the ones that can be so impactful? I mean,
exactly.
you like you said, you left your ego at the door, but then you also just went, this is me, this is what I'm going to do, and put it all out there. And sometimes it's like that blind, like, I don't even know what just happened. I don't know what I just did. Like you couldn't
Very
go
well
back
said.
and do that again. And I've seen that in so many different realms of life where you just like, if you look back, you're like, I would never have done that the same way. And I don't know how it worked out that way. But it's amazing what evolved from that. Like what you were able to accomplish, and the fact that you got that role, that you got your foot in the door, and that they appreciated it in the end. So I love those amazing, just unbeknownst moments.
Just not getting that slide too, it probably got you out of your head a little bit too, right?
I'm not gonna lie, it did like me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a heartbeat, folks. No, but
Ping Kong's in here now. That's Magnus.
no, yeah, no, it was scary because I wasn't. I had a little inkling that I was being ambushed, so to speak. But no, it was so much fun, and those are honestly my favorites because I have an improv background too, in French improv, but improv nonetheless. Yeah. I don't know if you guys ever done improv before. It's one fun game. Maybe not fun to watch,
No.
but
I feel
I love watching improv. I have a couple of friends who do it and have their own improv show and everything. I've never thought about it.
No.
It's one of those things where I feel like I get caught in
it is
my
a
own
great
thought.
exercise.
Yeah, but I'm sure it is. Yeah, I've done it like in class exercises.
Oh yeah.
and that,
I didn't mean like in leagues or anything like that
Yeah.
specifically, but just like that's always something that I've loved too, and
Yeah, I know some of my
Yeah.
professors in school definitely they forced us to do improv just to get us out of
good.
out
Get
of
you out of your shell.
Yeah, exactly, and that it works. It eventually works, and it gets you closer to other people, and that's how I like about especially theater in Manitoba too. Is that a lot of people are very closely.
Oh
knit
yeah.
in the theater
communities,
community here.
Yeah.
I
For
think
sure.
it's flexing those entertainer muscles in a weird way. Like
Yes.
it's learning those different skills that you can use in different situations. So being able to think on your feet. So just like you being in front of an audition and just being like, do whatever you want. It's just being to go with it and being able to come up with ideas and to be able to just sink into whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you're too technical, if you're like, I can deliver this line in 36 different ways and I can be dramatic, I can be excited, I can be sad, I can be like anything, then you might just get too far into your head. And then you can only do like if they were to give you that slide, you could only do it if they gave you that. And so it's nice to just be able to go off the cuff and just say,
It was a
this
very
is-
rare moment. That
Yeah.
doesn't happen too often. Yeah, but you're right. You're absolutely right, though. It was really cool.
Just being inventive, though, is one of the things.
No,
like just being able to create on the spot. And so that's why I wish, in a way, I do wish I've done that. I wish that I have tried to do it a little bit more, like to try and do, what were we just talking about? Improv.
Yeah.
Improv, because I even think in day-to-day, like, approaching people and being more open and to just have good conversation, you have to be willing to put yourself out there and come up with things on the spot. But oftentimes I find I read people and they're too closed off, and I get inside my own head because I start
Because they're
thinking,
closed off.
did
In
they
what
want?
way?
Well, you have somebody with headphones on and you want to talk to them, but it seems intrusive to their experience to talk to them while they have headphones on. So in the gym, you're probably not going to start a bunch of conversations. And I put my headphones on. I like to listen to music in the gym, but I'm also open to having conversation depending on the time, right? So I think improv helps that because you just go, I'm just going to do something and
like
people are
small
going to
talk
react
type
to
of
it.
thing, or was that what you mean?
I don't like small talk, actually. I think it's maybe one of my, not weaknesses, but one of the things I'm averse to. And I think that's maybe another reason why I don't start as many conversations as I should.
It
because
is useless. I mean,
I hate being like, how's the weather?
Small talk doesn't really accomplish anything.
You know, I can do the occasional Jets chat or sports chat.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
the weather chats, I just start to hate myself and hate the other person instantly.
That's where I draw the line too.
So I try and come up with something that's situational most times, or just, hey, how's your day going? And then hopefully something comes from that, or you talk about the cool thing that just happened. So
Yeah,
it's
for sure.
But I think improv is that thing that helps you just think on your feet a little bit more and flex that muscle. So
Yeah, it's definitely a great exercise for acting. Even if you're not an actor, even like in life, if you want, if you have public speaking to do, and you let's say work for this big company, you're scared to talk in front of people. That's why you got the job in the first place. Let's say, and you need to do this speech all of a sudden. Improv is always is the bee's knees of learning to let yourself go and just flow when the time comes.
isn't it funny that so many people fear public speaking? Isn't it
Yes.
more people
Yeah.
fear public speaking than fear death? It's something
Yeah,
like
that's
80 or
insane.
90%.
That is
fear public
ridiculous. Is
speaking.
that real? Wow.
I might be making up the exact statistics. I know it's
You're-
more fear public speaking than
No,
death.
Yeah,
yeah,
you're right
even-
about that.
that's even the statistics smaller than that. Even that's crazy. I didn't think that. But yeah, no, I could. I was gonna say I could kind of see that, but no, I don't think so. Oh, jeez.
I can attest to it though, in the sense that performing, especially musically, for whatever reason, is just that thing that they're judging you on your voice, if you're in key, if you're also playing an instrument, if you're playing on beat or on rhythm, and that you're not messing that up. So you almost have to. I know we talked a little bit about flow state. I always say hitting the groove in terms of music. So once you hit that groove and everything's flowing perfectly and you just hit that moment, and that's when special things can happen. It's almost like you're performing, but you're not at the same time. It's just, it's coming from you. And that same thing can happen in acting or performances, right? Where you just all of a sudden sink into the role, sink into what you're doing.
That's when the best scenes and the best moments in TV and film history have happened is in that type of situation that you just described.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Like I could name like 5 off the top of my head that were semi improvised, kind of like created in that moment, like you were describing. I think that's like the key to really special acting.
So maybe what's your favorite movie and/or your favorite moment in film?
Oh boy, you're talking to somebody who likes movies.
You can do a couple if you really.
I separate my favorites in
genre or
pre 90s and post 90s because I'm a huge Hitchcock fan.
What's your favorite Hitchcock film?
Oh, it's got to be a two-way tie between Psycho and Dial M for Murder. I know Psycho is a little cliche to pick, but it is a classic. I stand by it. It's even if it's Hitchcock's most known film, it's that for a reason.
For a reason, yeah, exactly.
But
he's had so many great films, though.
The real master of suspense. I'm a huge Twilight Zone fan. Rod Serling.
Nice.
I'm musically, I'm even a huge Frank Sinatra fan. I'm just I'm kind of a history nerd in that respect. But as for today, to answer your question, favorite actor of all time would be Sidney Poitier. Favorite film improvisational situation would be and it's a tie between Leonardo DiCaprio's freak out on Kerry Washington in Django Unchained.
Yes,
when he puts
so
the
good.
blood. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I'm trying to. I've seen Django, but I don't remember that moment.
He does a scene. He's only supposed to go like slapping his hand on the table.
Well, his hand bled in that scene too, and he kept going with it.
So he slammed his hand on his he's supposed to slam his hand on the table. But he gets his glass. His glass shatters. His hand starts bleeding. He continues the scene. Continues the scene.
It's real blood too.
And he goes and it's real blood. In the take that they kept for the film, they kept that one.
Yeah.
And the scene calls for him to go to Kerry Washington, and say she is my slave, and it's this really powerful scene. And he takes his hand and just smears the blood on her face, and it just came out of nowhere apparently on set. Apparently there was after cut there was a big huge applause and stuff like that for Leo, and apparently it was just a great moment.
And he didn't win an award for it.
Yeah,
I was 1 cent.
I wasn't a giant fan of that movie, but I respect
that moment.
Them.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. He played such a good antagonist in that film too.
I'm not used to seeing him as an antagonist, but he makes a good one.
Yeah,
he's actually one of, if not my favorite actor. Just in the terms of
he's pretty versatile.
Mm-hmm. And the funny thing was, after Titanic, you thought he might just be this pop culture one and done kind of thing.
No, he's kept it.
Things because he was an aviator. His acting in that movie was maybe the best I've ever seen. He had to play that. It was an interesting role. I wish I remembered more of the background, but he had to play young and old, and he had to play kind of a strange.
He's definitely grown in his age too. His acting has become better, I would say, as he's grown older.
Oh yeah, and getting his first Oscar so late like that, where you see you see young kids get some, and you wonder why he was snubbed for so long, but and why The Revenant be that one that made it. Well, The Revenant was probably one of the most grueling films for him to make. So that probably felt so good for him to get that.
Yeah.
I could just imagine.
Sometimes
them
it
filming.
seems they give out an achievement award for those. It's like, we like you as an actor and you probably deserve one of these, and everybody seems to be complaining, so we'll start to... The Academy is super weird like that because they had such backlash because it was only Caucasians that won one year.
Yeah.
And then the next year it was like all African Americans that won awards because there was so much pushback from culture.
I would love to believe that like those votes were not done like the winners were chosen by skill of film or whatever the category is, and not, you know, under racial lines so bad. But I don't know. Maybe some of those votes were genuine votes,
Well,
and honestly, Moonlight, yes, deserved to win. And what was some of the white moves? Some of the white ones that won the year before, Shape of Water, or that was this.
No,
this
that
year.
was this year.
Last year was
I don't even remember anymore.
Jesus. Eh?
I don't pay a lot of attention or
neither.
put too much into the Academy Awards, just in the sense that it's.
Well,
but you get that though, because you probably have, it's all writers, right? Writers and directors and things that vote. So you're gonna have genuine people that genuinely care about the quality and then you probably have the ones that are
Lots
pop
of
culture
conservative
influence.
old.
I remember there
Hollywood.
was such a huge moment when 12 Years a Slave won, because in terms of racial terms and stuff, like because very
like
rarely up to that point did you ever see an African American win for like best actor or anything.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh wow. I didn't know that fact. Wow.
Well, Halle Berry was the first female to win. She won, was it Monsters Ball? She won the female best
that's a good
lead in a
question.
female role.
Yeah.
I believe that's correct.
Speaking of female achievements, though, the Fringe Festival coming up, the play that we've actually been working on. I actually so we just wrapped a play that one that I described with where I got the honor to play one of the two first homosexual voyageurs in the Cercle Molière's or the Circle Molière's theater history, and even before that, in January, we started this play set in World War I, and our director Jayse Meyer, he's like a mad genius when it comes to props, information, detail. Just the guy is passionate in history in a way that I thought I was the historical passionate one, and until I met him, he's like a human book that is a great engineer. He's actually an engineer by trade, yeah, and literally he describes it as he wanted to be an engineer so that he could have a paying job, so that he could pay for funding theater and
that's
films.
awesome.
Like that
I like
is
that.
if I'm not saying you're lying, Gilles. No, but that's ambition in itself. But anyway, so this story essentially is the story of Dorothy Lawrence. It's this woman who fought in World War One, and if you don't know much about World War One, it's the war that ended essentially monarchies across Europe and the world. There was no more king, well, except for England. Now, why England is one of the only countries with a monarchy, meaning a queen or a king or a royal family, and you see republics, France, Republic of Spain, or whatever. A republic just means not a monarchy anymore. And World War One essentially destroyed. Like Nicholas II, like Wilhelm II, or Nicholas. Nicholas II, Wilhelm II. All these giant figures were toppling down, and world went to war. And for the British Army, this woman was like, I don't want to sit back and do nothing. And she's one of those like tough women, progressive for her time, not accepted. Changed her name to Dennis Smith, shaved her head, joined the army, and this was no easy task at the time. Like, it sounds simple enough, enlist, but it was. I don't want to give any spoilers out here, but it's essentially what we're doing is her story, and it's a tragedy because in real life she spent the last years of her life in a mental institution, not being believed, and it was only after her death that her story was discovered, and there's never really been a outlet for her story to come out. So kudos to my director for finding. I didn't even know about her story, but she was known as Private Dennis Smith during the whole war and after. One day she got wounded and she got discovered, wounded somewhere,
Yes, that makes
that
sense.
you can't really hide.
When you have to hide your gender every day for people around you,
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden you get injured, and they're gonna.
I learned so much from this play, just like facts, just how it was for women. Like he paints a picture. The director. I strongly suggest that your listeners and if you're ever Fringe Festivaling it up, that you check out "Sport of the Engineer" by Gilles Messier. Sport of the Engineer.
Sport of the Engineer. What venue is it playing at?
I don't quite know, but I think the Fringe Festival has its own
website.
I'm embarrassed.
You can look up on the website and it'll tell you what venue it plays at.
Okay, so yeah, there you go.
Once it goes up, I'm not sure if they have it up yet because Fringe is about a month away yet.
July 18th. Yeah. And we're doing 9 performances, so there's no excuses for y'all to not come.
I like that. Just the female figures in history, and you think of at that time, women in Canada only got the vote in 1912 or 10. I want to say it's one of those 2 years.
I don't know
so that would have been leading up to the First World War. So
Yeah.
you think of the time in which that was happening, and the fact that a woman went, "I want to fight for my country, and I want to."
And we're talking 1914 to 1918. That's how long the war was. It was 1916 that she
enlisted.
Did most of her action, and I think the war had been going on for about a year and a half, if I'm not mistaken. Gilles, correct me on that.
It all started with the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand.
Very good.
Yes, so I know a little bit. I actually did a project on World War I. I think I was in grade 7 or something, but I remember dysentery or whatever, like the disease that they used to get because it was all trench warfare in the First
trench
World War.
foot and all that.
Yeah, trench foot.
And Germans use the mustard gas and
some
crazy stuff that they use that even in World War II they refused to use because it was so inhumane.
It's kind of ironic to hear because that's a quote that actually Hitler said. He said I would refuse to use chemical weapons because I think it came less of a place of human rights and more of a place of because he got gas shelled when he was a messenger.
It was kind of out of fear on his part.
Yeah, because he experienced it. He was blind for I think it was 6 months or something like that.
Oh, was it that long?
His blindness was at first attributed to the gas, and then he was actually blind from hysteria, what they called that at the time. I'm not sure what it would be referred to today, but that's when you're blind not by something that you're psychologically shocked or traumatized that you can't see. That basically is what I'm trying to describe here.
Yeah. So, you're right. It's probably less out of like he sold it as out of humane purposes of not using it, but it's more out of self-fear and maybe what he went through. Because we all know that he did some pretty inhumane things.
Well, one of the things he sent Jews into gas chambers, so I don't get how that's not
just about
warfare. But maybe to shift gears back into more so acting. I do, for some reason, war literature and or history is something that fascinates me. More so for me, it's the Roman and Greek times and Trojan Wars and things too. So my historical sense goes back to that. But I enjoy knowing how things evolved till we got to modern day times. I think that's the thing that history really shows you. And it also...
I think more people should know how we got here because like one of my favorite quotes by Santayana, the poet, if you do not, I'm gonna have to paraphrase this. If you don't remember history, then you are doomed to repeat it.
Yeah,
or something like that. I love that quote. I feel like history should be placed put more importance onto it than it.
One of the issues I always had was the way it was packaged, especially in school.
Mm-hmm.
That you were given names and dates, and you went through.
It's a memorization class. That's all it is.
And so
they prepare you for a test, right? That's all it came down to.
And that's what school is. And where the real learning happens is actually when you get past the subject matter and you have these discussions about the things happening underneath the surface, what's going on at the time. And when you have really great teachers, that's what they will do. They'll go beyond the content, and you'll actually enjoy talking about the
history is
things
actually fascinating. It's just that school teaches people.
Takes the right person to teach it. Yeah,
there's so many figures throughout history that you can learn from. Whether it's like the Martin Luther Kings or the Gandhis or the these figures that we remember as being so influential, or these hidden figures like you're talking about in this upcoming
and imagine
play.
how many stories are have been buried in history that we never heard. Like history is, by definition, is written down factual events that have happened, I guess. So imagine all of that, like all that untouched, juicy history that we've never got to experience. I love if you see my bookshelf at home, like I have this fascination with military history, just because my uncle was in Vietnam and my great grandpa was in World War I. So it was really cool to be in this play for that reason as well, because my director, he even knew, like, I named the regiment the Vendus. It's all the French people in Canada were put into a division to kind of help bridge the gap, bridge the language barrier and stuff like that. And it was a unique unit that Charles Dufault got to actually he fought, he lived, of course, but it was super cool to have that.
That's amazing. You don't think of in our country having you have people, like, we have both languages represented and we have both peoples represented, and obviously in times of war you're going to have both peoples represented on the battlefield, and yet you that communication barrier, in certain senses, those people would have been integral to the success of our military. And there are so many stories of how the Canadians persevered in the First and Second World Wars, and how we were able to make amazing things happen. Even though our population isn't necessarily as much as other countries, we were still integral in those wars, as being, as coming out with the outcomes that we did. And now, we have our safety and we have our lives to thank those who have served, to thank veterans, and even the fact that there were those people, those like, that were able to bridge the gaps between people.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's people who can speak and bridge like that, different cultures, are a great asset.
I literally turned my phone off, and I don't know why that went off.
Doesn't want, it's an Apple phone. It doesn't want to be
come
off.
Back. So more in terms of acting, do you find there are enough opportunities to make it as an actor in Winnipeg? And have you done the consideration of moving to the Torontos or Vancouvers or
a
LA?
Very good question. So basically, I have been auditioning in Toronto already, because I have a unique situation where my sister lives there already.
Oh, nice.
So I get to fly down there, and then if I book something in advance, I'll fly down there, do the audition, stay until I find out whether or not, did I get in, did I not get in, and then I'll fly back. I haven't had a situation other than when I was a finalist for the picking of Big Brother a couple years ago. Big Brother Canada, I know, and almost made it onto that show. But yes, I do want to answer your question. I do want to move to Toronto one day, just because of the easy family access to my sister, and it gives my parents a easier or now a better reason to come and visit us. And the work is just immense. Like the way I get contacted, like the way I get contact for work and my schedules and all that, you see a city. It's in brief, like the work in Toronto is so immense compared to the opportunities here.
Of course.
Although I apply for everything and anything that is within my range, like anything. Especially, I play a lot of high school students, because I look a lot younger than I am. Like, I'm 25. I get a lot of 16-year-old gigs, which is really embarrassing. But
that's 25 is the TV 16.
But I mean, like, they're in high demand, that age range, so I'll take it. if I shave, I just look like a baby face.
Hey, take it, man. When you get older, you'll want to be younger. So
yeah. Maybe I'll thank myself when I'm 30 or 40. Yeah, no, yeah. If you're an actor in this city, I think is what you're saying. You're saying what would be sorry, your question was framed around.
Just basically, are there enough opportunities to make it in Winnipeg? And then had you looked into moving different places?
Okay,
Which
so the first part of that question, no. You really, unless you need to put all your marbles in one bag. If you really want to be a serious actor, and you're ready to do a cannonball into that pool. I always like pool references for some reason, pool metaphors. But do a damn cannonball in that pool, jackknife that, and really. I mean that's what I did. If you want something bad enough, I genuinely feel if you're willing to put in the work to like learn, try everything, see what you're good at, work on those things, and then explode it to the world and show that you're not just another actor. And in the past year and a half, I've actually I did a role. I did my first leading antagonist role for the National Screen Institute of Canada. This is like 2-3 years ago, and it changed my acting trajectory like completely. I dropped music immediately. I even quit my job because I was making enough money to support myself. Wow. So ever since that year and a half, I guess that's 2 years now. 2 years. Wow. Time flies.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Ever since then, I've been so like ambitious and like I've been driving and grinding and just trying to. Because I'm finally gaining those little nuggets of respect. Finally, not respect, like, but
you feel you're progressing on the path,
and like being appreciated. That, oh my God, there's something here. Like there's something good here. And hearing that about your work is very, very satisfying, especially having put. Because I have 3 years of multimedia communications credits at the University of St. Boniface, and I didn't even finish the program. And like I've been wanting this like vindication of being able to work in this field, even though I know I don't have the diploma. I didn't graduate, but I have all the expertise. Well, most of the expertise, anyways. Like. Everything from I have credits in Photoshop classes. I know how to run a studio, like a music studio, like all this type of just multimedia related stuff. But yeah, no, that's if I were to give one big piece of advice, would be marbles in the bag, jackknife in the pool. It's all you, baby.
I like it.
Yeah, it does hit those jump moments. It seems that that's something that a lot of people share when you start off on your journey. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it is that you're in school and you go, I know what I want to do, and I have to go towards this because it's honest to who I am as a person and what I want to accomplish. And you have to do everything. So yeah, put all your marbles in the bag and take the jump. One of the things I was going to ask too is just how many people thought you were completely crazy for doing what you're doing at the beginning, and how much maybe backlash or just like, did you get the negativity with it too?
To answer your question, every single person, friends, family, except my mom. And then I started when I was, I don't know if this counts, but I made a lot of money in French acting when I was 11 and 12. I was in an anti-drug and alcohol series. I made more money than a 13-year-old ever would need at the time. Yeah, but being thrust into. Can you repeat the question again?
So basically, just the negativity or how many people thought you were crazy for doing what you did?
Essentially, so I did that. So people automatically, oh, he wants to be an acting. Oh, he wants to be an actor. A lot of people because acting is something you see everywhere. Everybody watches a TV. Everybody will if you don't watch TV, you watch your favorite TV show on your phone, your tablet, your Netflix, or even then ads you can't avoid on a I don't know, on a subway wall or whatever if you're in Toronto, I guess. But no matter where you go, acting is there. So therefore, everybody thinks and wants and believes. Oh, I could do that. It's easy as hell. So you get it's very discourageable that way. So a lot of people didn't really believe, like oh yeah, he could probably. I mean, you're a good performer because they've only seen me on stage. They've only heard stories and stuff like that. But then I got that film Starline with the National Screen Institute, and then that's like I was saying earlier, when that started changing. And then finally, my mom, who never gave up on me, started being my friend, my close friends, or some close friends started, saying, "Wow, you should do this and this. Wow, you should maybe try stand up. You should do." And I got more emboldened by people's comments around me that were like sincere criticism, and I was finally like, "Wow, maybe," because I want to say that, but at the same time, I knew all along that, like. I just don't give a flying foo. But yeah, no, I've known from the beginning if I can, because I do have anxiety and like I do get anxious, but when I'm on stage and when I perform, when I have control of an audience, man, there's nothing more like thrilling and
empowering.
Yeah, and I relish the moments. I love emceeing events. I love making delegating a room like almost a symphony almost when you're acting on film or theater or all of it, anything.
So you knew because of the feeling that you had on stage that it was something that you needed to accomplish and needed to do. And so it didn't matter that you maybe had that criticism in the beginning. And I also find that usually sometimes one supporter is enough in a funny way. Like when you have someone,
even if it's yourself, even if it's just yourself, even if you have, if you're listening and inside everybody around you tells you that acting is too crazy, but you have the balls to get motivation and ambition to keep grinding every day and not giving up, and knowing you have this special little talent that you're like, oh yeah, I want to show this talent to everybody and I'm going to blast it. Use it, do it. Don't just sit around and take the easy way by moving up on a job. I love bold moves. I love people who take bold moves. So that's again another piece of advice I'd give out there.
No, that's perfect, because I think that applies no matter where your talent lies or what you're passionate about. Is find that thing and go towards it, and life will be that much better. I find for me, it's bridging the fence, because I have all these projects and all these things, and I dip my feet, and it's waiting for that jump moment that I know that this is what I need to be all in, but that I can still provide food in the fridge and a roof over my head. So there's that.
Yeah, it's not as easy as just
it's a weird balancing act, but it's great to know that. And yet I do trust the process. I go, one day all this work, all these things, all these steps are going to make sense, because I'm going to be there and I'm going to get to look back and go, well, if I had never done this, it wouldn't have led to this life that I'm living. And I have the vision of what that looks like and what I'm going to be accomplishing, what my place looks like. I don't know. It's funny to just, once you start asking yourself, what do I want from life? Yeah. You start to head towards that. And one day you wake up, maybe it's not exactly what you envisioned, but it's exactly the right place.
I noticed that there's a lot of that, a lot of dreaming though too. Like I wish people would, like I call it the maybe effect. Like, you know how somebody clicks maybe to go to a party? Mm-hmm. It's like people call themselves actors but have not, but like, or I don't want to, I'm phrasing this in a negative way here. It's more along the lines of, people will do like, they'll sing at a birthday party or something, and then they'll they'll brand themselves as, and by all means, like it's a first step to anything, or to start making music or doing your craft. But there's like it's not about jackknifing is what I want to get back to, because there is a strategic plan that you need to like follow and not screw up, because it's online, especially these days online, it is so easy to lose credibility and
for sure.
And all respect and all support and fans, etc., with one single sentence or one single piece of content or whatever it is.
And we see it happen daily, and it's
Oh God, yeah, oh yeah.
You know what's funny? It's just along these lines. So I'm really interested in reading Aubrey Marcus's new book, and not to call him out because he's obviously way more powerful than I am. He's the CEO of On It. And I'm actually interested. I'm still interested in reading his new book, but I saw a post about him going to the club and how he only needed 2 drugs, dancing and snooze, to keep partying all day. And he was basically basically tobacco, but not chewing tobacco, like the little packets or whatever that you put.
Strange.
So you get the nicotine or whatever the tobacco boost, and like you feel energetic and whatnot. But it was like I guess it makes sense that somebody who works in supplements is like, basically this is another supplement that, there's a drug in it and it's giving me this extra energy, but it's like, it seemed disingenuous to be like, I'm preaching living your best life.
Oh,
and
I
then,
hate that.
And then yet I'm going to tell you to take this, like this snooze that I do, because it's going to make your partying in your life that much better. And I'm like, that seems like bullshit to me.
Yeah.
That honestly seems like, I read it and I went, I don't know if I believe you anymore in anything you say, because it's like you're saying to do this, you're basically supporting this thing that also gives you mouth cancer and kills you. So it's like, really, are we? It's like that sellout moment, right?
I couldn't agree more.
Where people, you're willing to put aside whatever you believe in for more money and more notoriety and whatever, more
and
monetary
you don't get labeled
support
like
from.
that. Like, oh no, he's just having a drink. It's all right. Oh, just a cigarette. But to give you to help you make your point there, like for example, to bring up the issue of marijuana, it is factual that that a pill of Tylenol, a cup of coffee, a damn cigarette is all worse than smoking. Let's say you got a legal crop of a medicinal marijuana that wasn't laced, that was totally government regulated, and if you were to measure them in harm beside each other, the stigma is so strong with pot that people see the coffee a day people, or I'm not even saying the coffee a day people because that's me, frick. The people who like talk like how you just said, like I take my coffee and I have my cigarette and oh no, but other people are do these unhealthy things. I forget exactly what along the lines of what you're saying there.
So basically, just the disingenuous of supporting
Yes.
products that you that aren't healthy for people, that you probably shouldn't, if you're claiming to be some kind of not self-help guru, but just somebody who wants to help people in the world. Mm-hmm. So it's losing sense of what's genuine and what's real in the world, and that's something personally that I never want to lose sight of, and that I find is really tough when you start to hit those points of success. Because everybody wants something from you, and you have something to offer, right? Like when you're famous,
especially if you're famous, and this company comes along and it's like, hey, here's a bunch of money if you just say this one thing.
Oh yeah, your name becomes an asset essentially. Eh? Like that's,
and it's funny to just look into marketing that way and just see that a lot of our world exists. Like think of the way we get like. We shouldn't be using gasoline anymore. No. We could probably be completely electric if they said in the 50s, oh, this product that we take from the world is basically polluting our environment and creating all sorts of havoc in the world. We should probably find a new way. Think of, we probably could have evolved these cars to the point that everybody is driving them, but the oil industry is a multi-billion dollar industry, and none of those old white men want to lose their money. Yeah. So it makes sense. If I'm a billionaire, I don't want to lose my billions of dollars, but why not be the one billionaire that goes, you know what, I'm going to invest it all in a better technology that isn't as harmful to our planet, because I maybe want my grandchildren's grandchildren to be alive to see this beautiful world. And it's like, that's not going to be left. Like, we've already went past the point of return to as it was, which actually there was a Joe Rogan podcast where they talked a little bit about, yes, it's not what it was, but it is what it is, and we have to go forward the best way possible.
I remember,
yeah, and it was, I like that. I like not blaming former humans for what they did, because it's their ingenuity that allowed for us to live the current way that we do, which is pretty awesome. We're safe. We have roofs over our head. There's
services.
We have water that comes. We can put a cup under a thing, and it gives it under a tap, and it gives us water. Just
I didn't appreciate plumbing so much as I saw this Twilight Zone episode yesterday. Speaking of Twilight Zone,
there you go.
Yeah, no, it's just crazy to think that.
Well, what was the Twilight episode?
It's actually one of my favorite ones. It's called 100 Miles Over the Ridge, and it's like this 1943. I even remember the day. It was so. This convoy of carriages going out west to California, trying to find a better life. And essentially, what happens is they're like, and the kids, or the main father of the carriage, with all the kids and the wife inside, it says, "I'm gonna go look over this ridge, see if I can find any water or anything," because they're just in this gnarly desert. And if you guys know the show Black Mirror,
yeah, I love
Black Mirror's. Black Mirror's what do you call it? The format.
It's highly inspired by Twilight.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a movie. Twilight Zone is built the exact same way.
I don't know if you ever remember the '90s show The Outer Limits, which is the same.
I love them all. I love them. I don't even care. Yeah, I love them all. But to break off for a second, Black Mirror did an episode of Twilight Zone that already or Outer Limits that already existed. The Roach one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, sorry, I left off. 100 Miles Over the Ridge. So he goes over the ridge, and essentially he goes into the future in 1962. This is a Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah.
And then the guy, he pours them water. He's like, "Water's coming out of this tube." He's just like amazed by the water, and I was like, "Damn, like." Plumbing is like a pretty new thing. Like just 200 years ago, Romans were shitting, or not Romans, but like people are shitting in the streets, and not literally,
in California. But apparently, they're homeless have a huge issue.
Oh, God,
San Francisco, especially.
San Francisco.
Yeah, that's sad. High living costs and all that over there. Dang. Oh man, but yeah, no, it feels like all conversations always come back to Twilight Zone for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love this show so much.
It's those reference points, but yeah, you have to be grateful for the world that we live in. But obviously, there's better ways that we can do things, and it takes creative minds and creative people to work towards that. And so it's weird to try, and when you have people living longer, it's like you have more opportunity. It's like the weeds grow and they get older, and the absolute power corrupts absolutely. You don't want to give up your power when you're an 80-year-old male that has whatever 1% of the world's wealth or whatever it is.
That's crazy.
And so it makes sense that you go a little bit mad with power, but maybe that's the downside of modern day medicine and people living longer, is you have people that have more time to accumulate wealth and power, and so for the rest of us, it's you can suffer along the way too.
And I think nowadays we have to be especially careful of companies and corporations that look like or seem like they want to help people, and they're more interested in money. Pharmaceuticals are obviously the obvious ones about that, and how much they can charge on something, or how much they can hold back something that can cure something, right?
And like, you can't even trust your own doctor, because like the doctor will be paid a certain amount of money to shop a certain drug, and like give them this drug instead of
We've
this
talked
drug.
about this before in the podcast.
Really,
it's about
ridiculous.
And especially in North America, it's a huge issue, and people being addicted to drugs, and to imagine
opioid crisis,
a world where that wasn't available to those people, they drive them mad, right? And it's not even that, not even pharmaceuticals, but other companies as well. And this was talked about a little bit on Joe Rogan's podcast. I can't remember the name of the company, but Warren Buffett invested $100 million into it or something. And it was it was an idea of, instead of taking full samples of blood, all they had to do is prick your finger and they can tell you whether or not you had diseases and anything wrong with your blood. Turns out it never worked. And it was like a big scam company. And,
Oh my God.
All these big people invested hundreds of millions of dollars in this company, and I think they're being taken to court now. But
Wow.
it's like,
You'd think
imagine the
something so
damage they've done, right?
Oh,
People will think like, oh no, I don't have any STDs, or I don't have anything wrong with me. I don't have high cholesterol, and it turns out you actually did.
Yeah, and they got this clean bill of health, which
Doesn't seem like that's far away, that type of
No,
technology, though.
so
because
I think maybe
everything-
that's why, though. Like, people are so easily buy into it too.
because it seems realistic.
Yeah.
You think of computers in the old days and the giant wires that went into the supercomputers
Yeah.
that basically had the power of
Like 2
a DOS,
kilobytes.
a 95 DOS or whatever it was.
2
And-
KBs.
Yeah, basically couldn't do anything for you, and you had to like punch in the code to use any application that you wanted to. But yeah, and then now we have laptops that are like, we don't think of it twice, and even the power, probably more power in our phones. Actually, definitely in our phones than those computers back then.
In the space shuttle, there's more power in our smartphones today than there ever was in the Apollo 11 program, for example.
Oh yeah,
that's
if you ever.
Like that
makes me think the moon landing's a little bit of both. But
Well, if they did in fact land on the moon, you think that's insane with the amount of technology that they used. I forget about how much it ended up being. It was a lot for the day, but it was like 60 kilobytes in total or something that they had. In
Yeah,
data.
no, it was a small. It was a very, very rushed operation. Like I was on the fence on
it was all about beating the
moon
Russians,
issue,
right? Yeah.
yeah, for so long. Because if you look at the same, because Apollo 8. Like at least proved that you can go around the moon, because I don't know if you remember the Apollo 8 in 1968. Their mission was simply just to orbit around the moon and then make their way back to Earth, and just to kind of like, because nobody knew about space travel and how the gravity of the moon is gonna affect. This is the first time humans have experienced gravity on another bodily rocks, so to speak, in outer space. So they took those nice, beautiful pictures of the back of the moon, and it was mind blowing. With that super smooth surface that nobody was expecting. Everybody's expecting those famous big craters to see.
But according to flat Earth theorists, those are all fake.
I'm sure.
everything's fake.
I mean, there's a conspiracy for everything nowadays.
Yeah.
And what I hate is that there are actual real conspiracies where they may not be as sexy as Stanley Kubrick faking the moon landing, but there's still crimes, like, for example, a CFO that's funneling money to his Cayman Islands account. Like that kind, like if there's a conspiracy of people that are doing that, then conspiracies exist. It's when you're labeled a conspiracy theorist, ever since that label came out, I feel like every time sketchiness on the parts of the authorities are going to be mentioned in the future, I think that we're in a dark place right now with this conspiracy theorist label, boom, right there. And I think we live in a world of labels.
It's things like Sandy Hook or 9/11 or whatever that seem like, there might be more to this story, but then to deny that Sandy Hook happened, or to deny that 9/11, most people don't deny that it happened, but most people say it's an inside job. So maybe there's a little bit of research you can do there, but it's like, no, it never happened. And it's like a lot of people, there's so many people that know casualties, people that died, and workers that helped out. That
there's no
past in that. So it seems weird when you get to that level of skepticism that's just beyond normal. Like, it's good to be curious. It's good to be skeptical of the information that you're fed, especially through newspapers and news outlets that usually have some kind of agenda. Because, again, you go up to the hierarchy and somebody's in charge that wants to paint a picture of certain things. So it's nice to be curious, but it's also like you have to believe that
your own opinion.
You also just have to have some sort of sanity and come at things to be like,
common
sense.
sense.
Why would they even have the inclination to do something?
I think people need to realize too that the worst tool to measure with is your own accountability. It's like
In what
that.
sense?
So it's like that test where if you get 20 people in a circle, and I whisper a story in your ear, and by the time it gets back to you, it's completely changed.
Telephone.
Telephone. You can do that over and over again. It's our accountability, our ability to account the past is flawed by our memory. So we can remember things wrong, and it happens all the time.
Makes me think of Black
when
Mirror,
people
when,
go to court or when people commit a crime, and someone remembers how that's.
Witness statements are famously.
So of course, there's going to be conspiracy theories that come out of things like 9/11, and people are like, oh, that looked like a different plane, like in my memory, even though it wasn't. Really, you just thought it was, right? So people need to realize, like, I'm not saying that there's some conspiracy theories, I'm sure, are correct in some ways, but people's imaginations get the better of them.
Yeah, and they want to believe that there's this very structured, global elitism. Like, I'm not saying that there isn't rich billionaires, meeting, maybe doing some shady black market deals and stuff like that. But like to think, in my opinion, to think that the world is run under like some hierarchy of like shadowy proportions that controls the whole entire world, to me sounds a little like we don't like, as humans, we instinctively don't want chaos. We grew up with the idea of religion. We're the only Earth. That's nice and simple. Okay. But now we're confronted with all these stars. Okay, well, maybe there's no planets around them. Oh shit, there's planets around them? Oh shit. Okay, well, there can't be life on them. Oh shit, there's some planets with life on them? Or there's some planets that may have life on them, that have oxygen? Shit. So it's just like a cascading effect, kind of like that. But yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to just know the developments that have happened. It's almost the truth is stranger than fiction sometimes.
Yeah, it can be.
Things that are happening around us are just like the research coming out and the things that are evolving we would have never expected even 20 years ago. And yet they're saying that they might cure death by like 2060, which I think they're far off from that. But like AI enhancements and things, they don't seem very far around the corner. So there's some interesting, even moral dilemmas, but also just interesting developments that are going to happen in the next near future. One of the things I also wanted to know is what your daily routine was like, and if you have any unique practices that you follow.
Good question. So daily routine, pre-Starline or post-Starline?
Post. So what you currently do.
All right. So basically, it would start with some studying, a lot of studying, especially when I was doing both plays, when I was playing the Voyager in French and playing 3 different characters in the Sport of the Engineer for the Fringe Festival. So essentially, wake up. Studying is usually one of the first things I do. Get myself hyped up. I really enjoy. I used to. For those who don't know that much about me, I used to be a sponsored skateboarder from age 15 to age 18, 17-ish. And so skateboarding still today, not competitively, if I'm nowhere near how good some of my friends are, but it is an absolute escape. The one really non-creative thing that I do that I would consider in the realm of sports that really is an escape, if that kind of answers your question, is skateboarding to me. Like, that really is.
It's funny though, because I would say skateboarding is maybe one of the most creative things, because you have to learn how to move your body in a way to flip the board. Yeah. So I still think it is creative. It requires
definitely is
that agility.
Because in a team sport, it's not like you can. Well, I guess you can invent like a spinorama type move, but like in hockey or whatever. But you're absolutely right. Yeah, no, skateboarding is. I mean, it's only 50 years old, and
barely new compared to a lot of other
oh
things,
yeah, and it's still evolving. People still changing the sport, so it definitely is. It is an art of its own. a more physical one at that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like when I'm acting, I'm not that scared about getting a concussion or anything.
So between studying skateboarding and then do you have any other routines that you follow?
So usually in the morning, and it's always in the morning. So I'll study, and because I have usually weekday off. So I take advantage of that and go to the skate park in the morning. So my mornings always consist of a wake and bake with muffins. Or what did you think I was talking about? Yeah, no, you just have a good hearty breakfast, and I always starts. You start that the creative juices start flowing, and honestly, every single weekday morning has started the same. So wake up, study, or skateboard, then study until I either have a commitment, whether it's a rehearsal, which I have a lot of. And it's very sparse. To answer your question in a brief statement, it's very different every day because I have auditions some places and then random, very vague meeting. Like somebody will message me a very vague amount of information for a meeting, and then it'll turn out to be some great new film that I can audition for, or not, or something that's clearly like not been thought out very well, and somebody or whatever. But I like going out there, so to speak. So my afternoons, if I'm not working, and I do extra work too. Everybody's got to get the extra money. Everybody's got to make some. As a matter of fact, those of you who have Netflix, including you two, this summer, Forrest Whitaker, some of you probably know that he was here recently. Some people have pictures with them and stuff. I actually got to be a featured extra in How It Ends, the movie that they shot here.
Nice.
So when you guys watch How It Ends, I'll most likely be like Militia Man number 5 or something like that. And
credited role. There you go.
So look for this scene. I don't know the exact story. They're because it's a big production. It's
you didn't get the full script for the.
Oh God, no. Yeah. I'm not even allowed to talk to the director. But the director, this is kind of embarrassing, but I was originally supposed to stand. We all had firearms training. We were a very little amount of people. I was a featured extra. I'm all excited, and this is like one of those gigs I got right after start line. So like I'm still pretty green at the like professional on set. So I just want to shut up, just do what I got to do. And Theo James from Divergent was there, like heartthrob Theo James. Oh my God. And so I'm holding this like old carbine, like from like World War II. And because it's supposed to be the end of the world where y'all get these weapons. And then their car comes up, Theo James and Forrest Whitaker. And so at first they're just supposed to be stopped by a sheriff because the town is essentially like a militia / police force trying to protect their town. And as far as I know, I'll try to wrap this up as quick here. But essentially what happens is the director sees my arm, says, can we get that kid to walk and point the gun at Forrest when they come by, and then the officer push him out of the way. I love how that kid's veins look. I'm like, and I'm looking at my arm, I'm like, okay, I guess. So he's like, and this is the first time the director talked to me, and he was like introducing me as if I didn't know his name, but he was like, when somebody introduced you with their full name, hi, I'm Andy Rogers, nice to meet you. You tend to think, oh, maybe he's famous or something, but I don't remember the name. I don't know Andy Rogers, but. Yeah, so he's like, grip that gun as hard as you can, make them veins bulge out. I'm not even kidding. That's what he told me. So and then I got a bump in my pay for doing this little extra walk.
That's awesome.
So look for that scene, me going to point a gun at Forrest Whitaker and then getting brushed off by the
and being
by the
extravascular while doing it.
I'm definitely gonna point that out, like pause it and like, where's those veins?
Look at those veins.
I like to leave that part of the story out sometimes, but I am pretty psyched on that though.
That's awesome.
Pure honesty.
That's pretty incredible.
I also wanted to know if there's any books that have helped you on your journey and what your favorites are.
Honestly, I read a lot of history books, but one book that's really resonated with me is not a novel, not a history book, not a science book, but a biography. A biography by Frank Sinatra. I am a huge Frank Sinatra fan. Not just his music, but just his political stances at the times, his refusal to play in segregated clubs, the Rat Pack, embracing Sammy Davis Jr. as a Jewish black man in the 60s, having him a part of his team, having really blazing a trail that was not yet. Martin Luther King had only started really ramping up his protests and like a Robert Kennedy and stuff like that. Were only like the movement was started to culminate more with the Vietnam War towards the end of the 60s, 1968, for example, when MLK died. But yeah, no, I'm big into the Frank Sinatra ideal, like what he stands for, his music. Like I'm not a good singer, but I mean, like I know the lyrics to like all the songs. You know,
One of my favorite. So I like certain Frank Sinatra, not all of it. He's maybe one of the funniest. Like, I'm passionate about music, but I have him as one of my favorite songs of all time is "That's Life." And I can sing. I know every word to that song, and
Nice.
it just speaks to that part of your soul that you really gravitate towards it. But then he also has a Christmas song with Dean Martin,
Yeah.
and it's called "It's a Marshmallow World,"
Oh.
and it is the worst
Is there-
Christmas song or song. So I worked at.
I will have to hear
I
this.
worked at a liquor store when I turned 18, and we had a playlist of maybe 50 songs that came on at Christmas time. But you heard it from mid-November to the end, till after Christmas, until it was basically New Year's Eve. And so for a month and a half, all you heard were these 50 songs. And the one that stuck out was "It's a Marshmallow World," and it was just atrocious. After a while, it's just like you would hear it every 3 or 4 hours on the hour.
Made you
and
rethink your whole life.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You wanted to go run in front of a bus or whatever, yeah, I lived through that experience, but I still appreciate some Frank Sinatra music.
That's pretty dramatic. I lived through that experience.
I lived through it. Barely.
Some
by-
people went
by
to war.
thread.
I lived through that.
I lived through listening to Frank Sinatra.
You survived
It's a
World War II.
marshmallow world.
Well,
Well,
if you had to, would you rather listen to Frank Sinatra's "It's a Marshmallow World" every time you listen to a song, or I'm trying to think of an ultimatum.
I'll have to listen to that when I leave
Yeah.
here today.
I wish I had a good ultimatum for you. So what's the writing process like, either joke writing or screenplay writing for you?
I like that. I love writing. I've always loved writing. As far as the scripts and the films and the plays I've been in, I've had zero impact on the writing, just because it's stuff that I auditioned for. You know, I understand it comes with the job. Especially, you know, I've always wanted to make my own projects. Like I've scripts of just, you know, me stuff, like just stuff I've never shown to people. But I've always been known as a person that's decently well versed with the pen, so to speak. Yeah, no, but the writing process is hard. But if you have a central idea, just like look at it as one of those like rubber band balls. Like, as long as you have that little ball in the middle, you know, you could wrap more story around that. More story. Yeah, I know it's a little less visual when you hear this, but it's like one of those rubber band balls where you add another layer, and then the more and more, the bigger and bigger it gets, the easier it is when you're building your story. But it's about getting that first kernel. Oh my God, this would make an amazing story. And I'm even reluctant to share a couple, because like I've always, I know one day I want to bring especially one of them, because it's very relevant. But yeah, no, writing is it's tough or fun. Honestly, it really depends on the person.
Yeah, you
If
have to
I-
be inspired to want to write, and you have to have that
And
drive
the
in the
content.
first place.
Yeah, exactly. If you're writing, let's say, a column that your boss told you to write, and you're a good writer and stuff like that, then that's no fun.
Yeah.
So I understand that, but yeah.
It's tough to be inhibited in that way. It is nice to have that process as completely your own and be able to develop your own ideas, no matter what it is. But I think what always comes up to me is the start with why. If you have a why to the story or what you're writing or what you're doing, whether it's something like journaling, because I can find that that's a very helpful personal experience where it's that writing process. And oftentimes you can sink into something like that. And it's almost better not to think, I find, when you write. It's just like write words to the page, and all of a sudden you gather that momentum.
I call it building a skeleton.
Yeah.
Because then you start fixing it up. You know, you add the muscle tissue, and then you put all your concrete bullet point ideas. That's like the spine, the skull. You know.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
I've always thought it, yeah.
Yeah, to break it down. Well, they always used to do that when you built essays, were to give you the skeleton,
Yeah.
and then you had to fill in the points, and
There
then
you go.
that's how you started your structure. I always find that I'm a very unstructured writer because I think almost conversationally that I'll go off on tangents because I think it's relevant to the central point. But a lot of people...
Do you like writing? Is that something you do a lot? Or?
Yeah, so actually I talked about it last time, but that I started writing a book. I do want to finish a book in the next year.
Oh, wow.
my
That's ambitious. Nice.
goal. Now, having said that, it's finding time for projects and the energy and the passion for it, because I find writing, it's weird. It's not work when you get into it. It's work to get your mind into that place where you're just like
in the zone.
Because I find I have ideas going into chapters or whatever I'm writing, and then I get going, and then I become very self-critical, and I go, should I say it this way? And then I spend way too much time on one sentence when I should just keep getting things out. So it's that stop and start, and it's trying to get momentum with it.
Sometimes you got to find that mindset to write into, or other times it's like you can try, but all you write is garbage and ends up just being a throwaway.
Yeah,
and some other times you're just like a machine. You lose track of time. You're just doing so well. It's really. I think it's for me. I don't like. For you example. For example, I should say. Do you start with like a basic idea, or do you just kind of like you put the paper down and like let the idea come to like tell me about because everybody. I'm always curious to how people's writing processes are.
My process started as writing down a bunch of chapter ideas. So this is before I even decided I wanted to start writing or start doing a book. And I actually just went, here's 50 chapter ideas. And typically I'll open the book I'll try and find that page because it's buried deep in my notebook. And then I go, the first one I look at is usually the one I write about, because it's just like, I'll just go on that topic. I try and get my brain thinking about that. What could I include? What's going to be maybe help drive that point home, or whatever the chapter is going to be about. But it's almost that it's like
so you're building
by
it
chance,
as you're going a little
by
bit?
chance, and it's just kind of a fun. It's almost a little game that I play, because even sometimes I'm like, I don't know if I want to write about that, and then I look through other chapter ideas and I go, no, I'm going to write about that one. So every time that it's happened, it's been the first one that I look at, and you keep going. And then it's usually until a time that I find, okay, that's a good stopping point.
Wow.
And
it's
then-
interesting how so many people have so many different types of writing methods and stuff like that works for them better. Because for me, if I don't like, for example, do you have an ending already in mind? Like, do you have like a twist or an ending or like some like that? Because that's the way the rubber ball analogy that I just made.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, that's kind of like I want like that's the way I kind of write. But do you tell me about your like?
So mine's very different, because I would say it's a professional development literature.
Because you're
which is-
like almost going as you go, like chapter 1, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So it all relates, I would say, back to this and wanting to help people and make a positive difference in people's lives. And I went, what is the best way I can do this? And that's when the ideas start to evolve. And so podcasting and being able to reach people across the globe. I mean,
that's cool.
if we can have that kind of reach,
I hope you do.
and build that kind of reach. So it's doing things like that. I do want to do more hands-on, like volunteering within the community, because it's nice to help to actually have that personal impact and that personal stake.
Showing your face is a big. I learned that even Oh man, that's such an important thing too. I feel like I have to say that to wannabe actors or show your face at places everywhere. You know, go to events, whether or not you're performing, whether or not you like the subject. Networking is like the most important thing in your career if you have that genuine skill and no clear path yet.
Yeah, become involved in the community, whatever community
100%.
you want to be involved in. Surround yourself with those people and learn
Yes.
from them, and
become known. Like come out, because there's so
And
many basement artists is what I kind of call
it's
them.
not just
Yeah.
important in theater too. It's and anything these days.
Oh, yeah, no, that's what I mean, yeah.
Connections kind of rule the world at the moment. And the more connections you have, the more you're gonna go places.
yeah.
Were you sunglasses in your back pocket?
Yeah, that was very uncomfortable for a while
I'm
there.
surprised you went an hour and a half, over an hour and a half with those there.
I had a good old lens poking me in the old cheek there.
But yeah, back on the writing thing too, I just wanted to say I kind of relate to more your style of writing. I think I can't just go from chapter 1 to chapter 2. I like the rubber band theory that you use, the ball rubber bands.
skeleton,
Yeah, and just like how does one thing in the beginning relate to the ending? And like with every rubber band, like every little notch in that band has to mean something to me. And I can't put something in that doesn't mean something, and I want this kind of cross relation between everything, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I like your analogy of that. I think it works really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, by no means do I go in order of what I think chapter 1 is going to be, though. It's going to be a matter of tying
Yeah.
it all in and making
There's
sure
no
that
wrong
it flows,
answer. I mean,
right?
No,
there's
there
no
really
wrong
isn't.
answer.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, you're gonna.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say there's no wrong answer, and some people have such cool. There's like some comedians don't even write any. Like, you know, Bill Burr, the comedian, apparently doesn't write anything down. He just kind of remembers like, okay, this bit goes after this bit, and then this bit goes after this bit. All right, let's go.
Yeah.
like
crazy.
like that to me that sounds crazy, but yeah, no, everybody has a different style or a different. Yeah, no, it's cool. Yeah.
You really have to find what works for you.
Yeah.
I find I prefer
Try it
actually
all, yeah.
writing with a pen, but then I'll usually write, if I sit down to write, I write with my laptop or my computer. So it's tough because I'm going to have to synthesize all these ideas eventually.
No, you're not wrong. I like writing with I like jotting down very crude draftly,
Yeah.
using nice vocabulary.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and just
I'm always on the fence between the two because I love writing on paper just to get the idea. It feels more authentic than just typing it out. However, I'm much quicker at typing than I ever am at writing, so the ideas flow a lot faster.
The only thing that writing goes is a good way to start for me is because I can like draw stuff like I want this to look like this, and I'll like draw it out beside, you know, like, or do whatever. And then I'll like transfer that into Word or whatever.
That's too funny.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to go into another question, but if you had a
Well,
follow-up.
I was going to relate it back into a question I've been waiting for a while to ask. It's
Sure.
just to kind of in terms of like future aspirations, what kind of where you are now and what you're kind of looking to do in the future in terms of just acting, writing, and everything.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you asked. So I've always known that I've wanted to be in the entertainment community and work in it for the rest of my life. I've known that, like, and when I say that, I'm talking the big umbrella that covers everything from live performances to filming to being behind the scenes, editing to it being in front or behind the camera, any type of work in the entertainment business, whether I'm sweeping the cameraman's feet, I don't care. That environment, I've never, like, I've had a lot of jobs in my day that weren't industry related, like entertainment industry related. So, and I feel like if I don't do something that, because like a 12-hour shift acting, yes, it is long and hard, but it's nowhere near as hard as like a regular job's 12-hour. And I'm not doing that much different stuff. It's just I'm somewhere where I actually want to be. That's the big difference. And like, it's hard to convince, especially like parents of this type of stuff, like, because they see it as more of a hobby, but like they don't like you try to show them the dollars that are coming in, but no, okay, so essentially Right now I have 3 years worth of credits at the University of St. Boniface in it's called Communication Multimédia, but it's their film program, or their film and audio visual program. Okay. So they teach you how to use this music studio. They teach you how to properly screenwrite, like write scripts. Like I completed the 2 classes that's why I love writing so much too, because what I learned there. How to run a studio, how to build websites, animation. They give
cover
you
the
the
whole
tree
basis,
branch.
yeah.
Yeah, and whether you gravitate towards music or film or web stuff, you have to do it all. It's like they forced you to try everything, and I like that because it got me discovering like graphic design, for example, something I didn't know I was good at. But having said that, the short answer, I don't know. I'll keep dipping toes, and I will network my way onto I want to put this in a way that essentially what I'm trying to say is I want to be somewhere where I personally right now don't want to set a goal for, because if I set myself up for a goal that I'll fail at, that I'll be trying to get myself to, and I'll be stuck with maybe all of these things that I don't need. I want kind of to work day by day and see what is the best plan of attack as I go along, so to speak. But if I had a dream, it would be if I had to pick, it would be to either work in a writer's room on my own show or something like that,
Okay.
or to act in front of the camera in film and or TV.
Do both.
Hey,
Be in the writing
write
room
yourself in.
and be in front of the camera.
and even if it presents itself, directing too. But I don't know. I honestly would take. I love the whole industry that I would almost take any job.
So it's just what I got from that is doing something you love, and you'll never have to work a day in your life. So to keep doing the thing that you love and progress within it.
But having the motivation to grind and not slack about it is kind of you got it.
And just to continuously get better. I even
Exactly.
have a quote that I say, be better than you were yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
That's essentially what it is.
Some
be the
people
best
can't
version of yourself.
Yeah, some people's egos can't let themselves learn that they have mistakes. So you got to be able to say, that sucked. For the next time, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna be better in this area. Hey, buddy, how did I do?
It's funny that self-critiquing is something that's so important and something that people don't often do. And it can be life, and it can be whatever your passion or your project or your career is. But being self-critical and saying, what can I do better?
Especially in creative, any creative job, any at all. Sorry, what were you
No,
gonna say?
that's fine. I would just say even with this, it's like being open with the people around you.
Oh, yeah.
Like whether it's podcasting, whether it's acting, but being open about, okay, these little things need to get better. This is, we could change this, or maybe this is how we optimize this point. Like it's being able to look beyond the surface of yourself and just say, okay, I'm not great at this. Either I get better or we do it a different way, but you have to come up with those ideas through that time.
And I think we all faced that, to have realized that, because I used to have a way bigger ego and expectation of myself than until I really saw professionals work. I was taken aback, and that is really where that was learned.
Yeah.
On the set. Well, that new CBC show, Burden of Truth. It's it's filmed in Selkirk, and Selkirk is having this huge boom of because they're renovating stores,
Right, yeah.
and the whole town into their fictional town, Millbrook. I got to do a lot of little extra roles in there, but that was just for hashish, so to speak. No, but it's cool to have a cool famous show like that in Selkirk. But that kind of derailed there. What were you saying just before that?
What was I saying?
I don't know.
I got lost in my train of thought.
I
One-
tend to
happens.
have a bad habit to do that all the time too.
No, that's
all good.
I think it's something to do with the entertainer and/or actor mindset when you're just like, and you even said yourself, you're a little eccentric, but it's like it's fun to just get lost in like the moment and try and
Oh,
like come
yeah.
up with more thoughts, and your brain cells start firing, and then you go, what the hell was I talking about even a minute ago? So yeah, I tend to do that a lot too. I think it's a creative mind type, right? Where you're constantly searching for the idea within the idea, and sometimes you get lost a little bit on the way.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
I think it's talking honestly just about your life and what you go through and your process and experiences and journey. And that's what this is, but that's what I like getting to share with people too. So
Oh, yeah.
maybe on that level, I wanted to know the single best piece of advice that you would give someone who's trying to better their life or change their life.
Whew, that's a loaded question. All right. It's a good one though. Okay, to better your life in terms of
It could-
acting or general.
Either or.
Oh, okay. Never take yourself seriously is number one. I would say. Be humble to the fact that someone else beside you, respecting them or not, may be better than you and may still be able to teach you whether or not you agree with their beliefs, practices, or lifestyles. Show up to stuff. Be bold. Show up to that audition where everybody's stretching, everybody's goddesses, and all the guys are jacked, and you're that skinny guy sitting in the corner like me, like I was, and got the role over those big guys. You know, be bold. Be not scared to be ashamed. And if you do get embarrassed, fuck it. Just walk on it and know what you did. Ask them what you did, what could have been done better. Keep your head up high and never ever stop, no matter how much refusal you get.
That's
I like
an
that.
amazing.
Yeah.
There was so many great points in that too.
Thank you.
I just like the be humble, learn, and yeah, no, that's perfect. Couldn't have said it any better.
Essentially, it's just all lessons I've learned that I just piled in that little sentence there.
One of the things that I've always felt, it's like you have to be willing to go it alone too.
Yes,
like
absolutely.
Just go do that thing, whatever you're putting off, whatever that thing that you don't think anyone wants to join you with. Go do it alone, and then
A lot of people think that you need a mentor, or like, even I thought that. Even I looked around for people to help me, but you're the only person that's going to be able to do, like, you're as in ourselves are the only people that can really change.
The hardest part is starting the journey, and then all of a sudden people will gravitate, and all of a sudden you'll be in this whole different realm surrounded by talented people that can show you. But it's like you have to be willing to dip your feet first before you ever get to that point.
Sometimes dipping the feet is where people stop. People will metaphorically stop right at the pool and then just walk right back. You know, like oh, screw this. Like I'll do stand up next time. Like, you know, like, but so I see those situations and I just say, like, man, like, just I want to say just do it, but I see the Nike logo in my head.
But go for it.
But yeah, go for it. There you go.
There we go.
TM,
We won't
trademark.
Just go for
No
it.
lawsuits here.
Yeah, no lawsuits. Don't come after us, Nike. But you could give us some shoes or something. Actually, I prefer Adidas, so whatever.
Ouch. Now you're getting
Nikes
old.
don't fit my feet. That's my problem. Anyways, just before we head out here, I wanted to know, where can we find Colin Dufault on either social media, the projects you're working on, the upcoming shows that you have? So let us know what's going on in your world and where
All
we
right,
can find
the
you.
plugs are coming in.
Yes.
So basically, follow me on Instagram, of course. That's where the bulk of my information and news comes from, which is at DUFOMEDIA, Dufo Media. You get it? DUFO Media. Okay. You could also email me from there if you ever want to book me, if you ever think I'm cool, you know, if you like my British accent, yeah. If you want to see an amazing show, the show we spoke about earlier, if you were around, if you were not at the bathroom while we were listening to the podcast, is called Sport of the Engineer, and it will be playing 9 times at the Fringe Festival starting on July 18th. I do not know what time, but there is plenty of great entertainment there, so Show up early, have some fun, have a couple glasses of wine, and then you'll see the World War I epic of The Sport of the Engineer, starting Colin Dufault. I'm just kidding. It's not starring me. It's starting actually Virginia McLean. This the girl who's playing Dorothy. This is truly an amazing actress. I'd say watch out for her and watch out for some of the barriers that she passes along the way, because you'll recognize maybe a couple people. Me. No, yeah, and I would conclude it like that.
Yeah, and then look for your upcoming role in the movie on Netflix.
Oh yeah. Oh, I've plenty of little things like that, but definitely check your Netflixes for How It Ends by or with Forrest Whitaker and Theo James.
Yeah.
That beautiful Theo James.
Awesome. So, and as always, we're Be The Change. You can follow us at Be The Change YPS on both Facebook, if you still use it, and also Instagram, or Insta as you kids call it. You can always email us if you have any ideas for content or for something that we should be doing or that you'd like to hear. Email b.the.change.yps@gmail.com. And yeah, that's all, folks. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being on.
Awesome.